So this is my son, Joseph. He's going to be 18. Darn it. This next month, December 21st. Joseph didn't speak in full sentences until he was 4. He is the baby of 6 kids, so we just thought, everybody's talking for him, because they always did, and they still do. We used to call him Mr. Stoneface because he had serious lack of expression. We just pass it off. He's just being shy. Again, he's the youngest of 6 kids. One of my friends who had a son with Asperger's and autism said to me one day, we were just at church, and he's just standing there, and all the kids are running around him, and she pats the chair next to her. And so I went and sat down. She says, I really think you need to have your son evaluated. I think he's autistic. And I was like, you're autistic. It's like, you need to be evaluated, not my son. Anyway, I was a little bit defensive, and I had other people, ask me, what's the deal with Joseph? And so he kind of broke out of his shell over the next few years, and by the time he was 8, talking incessantly, and I don't know if I can't see who's in the room, so anybody who knows him, well, Tina knows him from swimming, about Legos, about anything that he was interested in. He could tell you everything about the Civil War. He could tell you everything about Legos that there was to know at that time. And so again, we were just like, he's just an overexcited 8-year-old. Everybody gets mislabeled all the time. Fast forward to age 14, we had moved from Wasilla to a little village out in Bristol Bay. And day 1, he went from being a kid who would talk incessantly to a teenager that couldn't even tell me what he wanted for lunch. Day 1. A year prior, he'd had moments like this, but they were few and far between, and we just thought, teenagehood. Also, although we found out later, autism and puberty. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, some of you know what I'm talking about. So he began to have multiple nonverbal moments like this every single day. He would have full body spasms. He would totally stutter. He couldn't even get out the word I without stuttering multiple times. And we got to where he couldn't even speak. We would hand him his phone and tell him to text us what he was trying to say. In the middle of all this, he had broken one of his collarbones. And we had the surgery to repair it, and then the surgery to remove the hardware. 14 months later, after moving to the village, we realized we needed to get him out. He needed to be back in town to where we could get him some real help. The second surgery, when he went to have the hardware removed, was the first time he started having psychosis, and I thought, I'm going to have to admit my son to mental care. I don't know what's going on with him. We made an appointment with Josh there right after that, and we had seen him before we left for the village with one of our other kids who had debilitating chronic pain and remembered how successful that was. She went from not leaving the house most of the time, and sometimes not even her room, to going outside and walking around and goofing off with her siblings and getting out and doing things. So we had seen that success with her in just a few months visits with Josh. And so we were like, okay, I'm going to make an appointment for him. He had been physically rigid for about a year, and we thought it was just all this stuff, him, anxiety, all the, teenage awkwardness. We thought it was just part of all of that. We came in for our first appointment. He popped up off the table, and going into this appointment, he's like not talking. He is completely sullen, and, Josh is like, tell me something good, and he goes, it just, nothing comes out. He's just like, just stuttering. He pops up off the table and goes, oh, wow, I can move my head. And in a full sentence, like I hadn't heard him speak in a full, comprehensible sentence in months. And unless he was at home with the family or with friends, but not out in public, in a room full of strangers, there were other people sitting there, and I was totally floored. I couldn't believe that he said something out loud. And then we get in the car, and he talks all the way home about how much better he felt. And I was just like, I mean, my jaw, I think, was dragging behind the truck. He was officially diagnosed with autism, ADHD, attentiveness, and generalized anxiety disorder, which the doctor was like, this is most likely because of his situation he's in. He's aware enough that, he knows there's a problem, and he, doesn't quite know what to do with himself. He would be, go in for his visit with Josh, and he would have had, I'd be like, fair warning, he is not doing good today, so I don't know what's going to happen. And he'd be like, what's wrong with him? He's fine. He's talking. He'd get his adjustment, and he'd be talking, and I'm just like, it just makes you want to punch him. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so he went from, talking better, talking more like, a normal teenager. He's sleeping better. He used to have I would get woken up 2 or 3 times a night by him. I felt like we'd gone back to infanthood. Mama can't sleep. He's not done that in months. He does not stutter anymore. I can't even remember the last time that he stuttered. There will be times that he will ask, when am I going in to see Josh? And I'm like, oh, well, it's now we've got the standing appointment because we tried doing that every other week. That didn't work. So we go in every week, and sometimes we go in twice a week. And he can tell a difference because he will say something like, if we've been on vacation or something, he goes, did you schedule an appointment for when we get back? Yes. He knows. He knows the difference. And thank you.